Regeneron has developed a drug called REGN-COV, which is a mixture of two monoclonal antibodies that block the SARS-CoV virus. The corporate includes a contract to produce up to 1 million doses for the U.S. government. Lev Red and Pacific Presslight Rocket Images hide caption. Regeneron has developed a drug called REGN-COV, which is a mixture of two monoclonal antibodies that block the SARS-CoV virus. The corporate encompasses a contract to provide up to 1 million doses to the U.S. government. Regeneron, maker of the experimental coronavirus antibody treatment President Trump received, released on Thursday its $1 million federal contract to provide up to 1 million doses of the medication to the GOV for national distribution. The contract, which the GOV hasn't made public, includes weaker than usual protections for taxpayers' interests. Drug policy experts say that would make it tougher for the GOV to restrain pricing if Regeneron were to have interaction at price gouging down the road. Regeneron's antibody therapy may soon be authorized by the Food and Drug Administration for emergency use. Operation Warp Speed, the Trump administration's push for COVID vaccines and therapies, announced in July that it might finance Regeneron's efforts to rescale manufacturing. Federal funding like this usually comes with contractual strings attached to guard taxpayers. These include clauses laid out by the Bayh-Dole Act enacted in, which allows the GOV to march in, because the law puts it, and take charge of a drug or vaccine if a manufacturer that received federal funding can Tier 1 make the merchandise or sets an unreasonably high price. But the Regeneron contract the corporate included in very quarterly security filing explicitly excludes this, stating, the parties agree that the Bayh-Dole statute doesn't apply to the current project agreement. Instead, the Regeneron contract has overridden these rights with new ones, narrowing when the GOV can march in and take charge. For years, the Bayh-Dole Act has ensured that the American people maintain rights to inventions funded with taxpayer money. Robin Feldman, a professor at the University of California Hastings College of the Law, who focuses on the pharmaceutical industry and drug policy, wrote in an email to NPR, with these contracting practices, the administration is actually giving for free the shop. Regeneron spokesperson Alexandra Bowie provided the subsequent statement in response to NPR's request for comment. The primary purpose of the ATI agreement is to manufacture and provide the GOV. With her REGN-COV, the GOV approached us to barter the ATI agreement under OTA authority. The parties carefully negotiated provisions that protect the GOV's interest in any material possession developed under the agreement, and that will in fact respect those rights. For many years now, we've been developing our rapid response capabilities to deal with pathogens that pose a significant risk to public health. We've successfully worked with the GOV to assist fight diseases like Ebola and COVID, and that we're proud to continue those efforts together. According to the contract, the GOV can only march in during a proper public emergency, not once the coronavirus becomes endemic because it's expected to, and it can only try this if Regeneron is unwilling or unable to create the antibody cocktail, not if it raises the value in an unreasonable way. Overall, this can be leverage the GOV can now not use to stay Regeneron's antibody therapy affordable. If you're taking that leverage away, the GOV just has fewer cards to play, says James Love, director of Data Ecology International, a nonprofit public interest focused on holding. There's just less they'll say about the way you price your product. What's more, the patents might not be ready to be employed in related inventions to treat other diseases within the future, he says, based on how they laid go in the Regeneron contract. The information rights, which generally govern disclosure and sharing of key studies, cell lines, and also the know-how to form a product, also are cause for concern, says attorney Catherine Ardizzoni of Information Ecology International. Many of those rights don't kick sure years, in keeping with the contract. If the contract followed standard law, the GOV would obtain unlimited rights in data delivered under the agreement whether or not funded exclusively by Regeneron, and it might not wait years for those rights to kick in. She says, she goes into more detail during a blog post about the difficulty. Bowie, the Regeneron spokesperson, says in an exceedingly statement that because this is often a producing and provide agreement, data generated from this work is pretty minimal. Love disagrees. The know-how related to a way to manufacture biologics is critical in getting a generic-like drug, called a biosimilar, approved and on the market. Notably, the Regeneron contract isn't directly with the centralized. Instead, it's through a third party called Advanced Technologies International, which NPR delivered to light with relevance for the Operation Warp Speed vaccine contracts in September. The Central awarded funds to the current third party, which then awarded a contract and funds to Regeneron. The third-party involvement has made it difficult for the general public to work out the terms of this government spending. NPR continues to be seeking vaccine agreements from the Department of Health and Human Services. The Regeneron contract is the first Operation Warp Speed contract awarded through Advanced Technologies International that has become public. At the very least, it should or no worse than what the GOV would obtain under a customary contract. Sony says, explaining that employing a non-traditional contract called another transaction agreement because it has finished Regeneron could give the GOV the pliability to form its rights stronger, but instead, it's actually weakened the rights that the GOV would have had under a typical contract. Regeneron is the second company within the last week to release its contract for Operation Warp Speed funding, exceeding the Central's own efforts at transparency. On Oct, HHS released its $billion contract with Moderna but redacted many key terms, including the already public value of the contract, which it called perplexingly a secret. Moderna released the contract with fewer redactions as a part of a securities filing in October. Thank you for watching our free video. If you liked it, make sure to click the like button for more videos in the future.